This is the second part for your circ in the previous video. Turn to page circ in, page 504 to 505. We're working more still on the additional aspects of correlation and regression analysis. You're circ in chapter 14, the statistical significance for A and B. Again, I'm still using the data from the textbook. Notice these two columns are the same as the previous video. And then I put the y up next to the x. So what's worked from what we did in the last video, because we explained our x and our y, and we added them together and figured out the mean, which the mean was, for the y, is the summation y divided by the total number of scores here, which is 18 divided by 6 equals 3, okay? Now I'm showing all my work on this table, which of course you'd show on all of your tables before you submit, but because this is new stuff. This is new territory for us. But it's the same type as what we do before. Like think a plug and play thing. You put the numbers in, okay? So what we have here is y minus the mean of y, which again is 3. So y, 1 minus 3 equals negative 2. The next y, 2 minus 3 equals negative 1. 3 minus 3 equals 0. And 3 minus 3 equals 0. And 4 minus 3 equals 1. And 5 minus 3 equals 2. Now for the next column, what we're going to do is we're going to square that answer. Remember from math class, when you multiply a negative by a negative, you get a positive? So that's what the deal is here. If you don't use a calculator, which will tell you it's positive, you know that in your brain then, so negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4, because that little math thing that we were taught to memorize when we were younger. And we'll sometimes forget it, but so negative times negative is a positive. So for the next one, it's negative 1 squared equals positive 1. And again, 0. 0 times anything equals 0. So this is 0 times 0 equals 0. 0 times 0 equals 0. And 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 times 2 equals 4. We add all these together. 4 plus 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4 equals the summation y minus the mean of y squared equals 10. That's your sum square total. Okay? That you get. SS total. Okay? Now for the next one to figure out your SS explained. This is your y prime. Remember we did the y prime in a previous video because we figured out our a and our b, and I did the y prime at the same time. What that's figuring is as similar as when you had the y hat, figuring out your y expected based on if you give it an x by knowing your a and your b here. So for this one, the y prime, for the first one you're working across, remember, 2. So it's 2 minus the mean of y of 3 equals a negative 1. The next one is 3 minus 3 equals 0. 4 minus 3 equals 1. 2, because we're working across here, minus 3 equals negative 1. 3 minus 3, that's our mean of our y, equals 0. And 4 minus 1 equals 1. There's the 4. I'm working across. Now what we're doing next is similar to before. We're going to square this answer. And again, negative 1 times negative 1 equals positive 1. 0 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 equals 1. 0 times 0 equals 0. And 1 times 1 equals 1. We add all that together, and that's what that's saying. The sum of this, the summation of y prime minus the mean of y squared equals 4. And that's your SX explained, sum of squares explained. So the next one column we're working on is y minus y prime. The actual y, the score, minus the prime, which we have like is the expected based on the x. So what we have here is the y is 1 minus 2 equals negative 1. And the next one is 2 minus 3 equals negative 1 again. And the next one is 3 minus 4, because notice the y's first and the y prime second, negative 1, and 3 minus 2, where am I at here? 3 minus 2 equals 1, and 4 minus 3 equals 1, and 5 minus 4 equals 1. What we're going to do now is, again, we're going to square that answer. So negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. So what this is here is the sum of that column, the summation of all that. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 6. So this is your sum squared explained. I wiped off the chalk a little bit. This is your sum squared unexplained, because that was your sum squared explained. So this is your unexplained. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to put these together. We're going to put all these answers and figure out the next part of your circuit. So you have your SS total, your sum squares total equals the sum squares explained, SS explained plus SS unexplained. So sum squares total equals your sum squares explained, 4, plus the unexplained one, which is 6. 4 plus 6 equals 10. The sum squared total equals 10. The mean squared explained, the MS explained, equals SS explained divided by degrees of freedom explained. If you remember from circuit page 502, that's always 1. The degrees of freedom explained, it's always 1. It says it's always 1. So that's how we know that's 1. And the SX explained, sum squares explained is 4. Boom, there it is. 4 divided by 1 equals 4. Now we have the MS unexplained equals, we have sum squared unexplained divided by degrees of freedom unexplained, or, like in the book, the degrees of freedom unexplained, that's why I say or. That's your n minus 2 in this case. So, the SS unexplained divided by n minus 2, which is the sum of squares unexplained 6 is here, minus the n, which is 6, the total number of the original scores is 6, minus 2, 2, so your n minus your 2 equals 4, so 6 divided by 4 equals 1.5. Now we go to the f. The f equals the MS explained divided by the MS unexplained. Those are the two numbers we just figured out, okay, ladies and gentlemen? So the one that's MS explained, that's the first one. That was a 4. And the unexplained one was a 1.5. So 4 divided by 1.5 equals 2.666. Now, we're going to go into more detail another time as far as explaining the conversion of formula and what all this means, because we're checking it up to see if pretty much if there's similarity between the two. It has to do with the variable. So even though according to the table our f is smaller than the f critical for this, so but nonetheless we're going to check up on this and see what's going on. So we have f equals r squared. Remember the previous video we showed r squared, which is 0.40, where the textbook says 0.40, and we're going to multiply that by n minus 2. Again, notice I have more parentheses than this original one, like in the book. I like more parentheses to show the difference. And that's divided by 1 minus r, that's supposed to be squared. That's why we use computer software, it looks all pretty than this. Besides, it's extremely accurate, but anyway. 1 minus 0.40 for the bottom, 1 minus r squared, because notice that's the same, r squared 0.40. So what we first do is 6 minus 2 equals 4. We show off our math to show that we can add and subtract and all that fun stuff. That way if we trip up mathematically with an error, they see where it's at, where we got the concept. So it's 0.40 times 4 on the top, and on the bottom it's 1 minus 0.40 equals 0.60. So that equals 1.60 divided by 0.60, which is 2.666, which, hey, it's the same as what we got before. So, again, we'll go further detail another time about conversion formula, maybe during the lesson or in class or the tutoring session, if there's not a follow-up video. So, that's pretty much how to work the formula for this.